Hey everybody, and welcome to The Breakthrough Effect. I'm your host, Jerrid. I've had two successful careers. First, I was an award-winning TV meteorologist and then a financial marketing strategist. I was living the dream, making good money, but inside I was craving for something more, something bigger. So I stopped deferring life and I started creating exactly the life I was searching for. I doubled down on unlearning old mindsets and creating big breakthroughs for me and my family. And now I'm bringing that same transformation to you. Let's understand the rules of this game. Let's get clarity. Let's stop chasing and start becoming. This is the Breakthrough Effect.
We think differently. A business owner often says, if I could have one more of me, I wish I could find more people like me. That's a super selfish thing to say because we really suck at a lot of things that we think we're good at. There's people out there that are better admins than us, better sales than us, better managers than us, but we think because it's our baby and we can control it and just kind of have puppets that we're the best at what we do. And this is why we don't gain respect as a business owner, because we don't allow people to perform at their peak. So to go from a entrepreneur or a underpaid employee of your own business to an entrepreneur, you've got to be able to step back and allow the business to run.
All right, today on The Breakthrough Effect, I am talking with Dan Sachkowsky, a serial entrepreneur and fearless business coach who spends over 25 years proving one simple principle. Your setbacks aren't your definition, they are your refinement. Dan didn't start at the top. He built massive call centers, made bold moves, took massive losses, and every time he got knocked down, he let those failures refine him instead of define him. Now, as a multiple seven-figure earner, podcast host, author, and success coach featured in Success Magazine, Dan has developed a proven system that helping gritty entrepreneurs scale their businesses fast. Get ready for a breakthrough conversation about grit, systems, and what it actually takes to dominate your industry. Please welcome to the show, Dan Sachkowsky. Dan, thanks for joining me today.
Appreciate the invite, man. Thank you.
What's it mean to you to invest in yourself, and how can people take that investment to the next level?
Well, I think most people don't understand what investing in themselves is. They think going tanning is investing in themselves, buying cars is investing in themselves, and they don't realize the true value of things for themselves that are going to help them become a better person. We're so conditionally taught at a young age to, do the norm, go to high school, go to college, get a job. And we invest, 13,000 hours of school to be taught by average people how to be average. So it's up to us to decide that we don't want to live that life, and now to invest in ourselves to be able to learn and mirror the people that we want to reflect in, when we're looking in that mirror. So most people don't realize that personal development is something that we have to bring ourselves to and participate in. It's not something that's just going to show up in our life, number one. Number two, we have to start learning in the spaces and the places that we want to soon arrive to. If we don't invest in personal development, we're going to be stuck in mediocrity, and we're not going to be able to live the life that we were put on this earth to live. We're just going to kind of show up and end up where we end up, and we're never going to be our best self.
I couldn't agree more, and that resonates with me because that's the way I live. That latter definition is how I live. When was the first time that you saw this and really figured this out? Like, this is the way to truly find kind of my path.
So I thought I found it when I was 16. I read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and I read Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. But I thought that reading those books was going to be enough guidance to get me where I needed to be. And I think in today's world, people watch a YouTube video, watch an Instagram reel, and now they think they got it. So that was me. So from 17 to 24, I made just under like $3 million, and I went bankrupt at 24. And what I realized when I went bankrupt was I thought I knew it all. And the one regret I had is I didn't ask for help. I didn't get into the trenches with the people who were already there using the shovel, moving the dirt. I was trying to figure everything out myself, and I ended up collapsing in my own hole.
Like, how did you learn this? I'm always interested in that. Like, I was raised in a trailer home by my mom, worked 2 or 3, minimum wage jobs. I didn't grow up with that entrepreneurial spirit. That's kind of something I'm learning now in the last several years of my life. Like, where did you get that? And like, how do we reproduce that type of thinking, so to speak?
So I don't think that we learn it. I just think that we have to identify it. I think it's a change that we want to see in ourselves, number one, and we want to see in our lives, number two. I was just sick and tired of watching my parents not give life their best shot. And one time when my dad classified rich people as different, I wanted to be different. I didn't want to be classified as poor or just making it through life. I knew that he was, setting a limitation on himself and his beliefs. And I didn't want to do that for myself because I truly believed that I could do anything at the highest levels, especially if somebody else already did it.
When did that click? Like, when did you get a taste of that? Because I notice people that are on this track, they get a point where it's like they hit the point of no return, right? Like, you've tasted the good life. Not that a W-2 job and working for somebody else is bad, but they get a little taste of the liberation and freedom of like building something that resonates with who they are. Like, was that like when you were a teenager, you had a chance to experience that for the first time? And like, when did you become kind of unemployable?
I mean, when I was 17, I never had a job my entire life. I'm unemployable. I've honestly never had a job. And I've always just worked for myself, whether it was mowing lawns, I was building decks and I had no idea what I was doing. I had no business doing business, but I was just figuring it out. And when I was able to make money and figure out how to go out there and make more and be in control of that at a young age, that tasted so good because I watched my parents have limits and only be able to do certain things. And my mom would bring more coupons to the store than I think that we actually bought groceries. And she'd end up getting money back half the time. Like, I didn't want to be that person. I wanted to be able to walk into a store and if it was $10, it was $10 and I didn't have to think about it. And I didn't have to go through the whole process. Someone was telling me the other day, they passed by Costco and they're like, why do all these people sit in line for 2 hours? I said to save 10 cents. It's literally going to save them about $1.50, but they're wasting more gas idling. And they don't understand. There's no common sense there. They're looking at the minimum value with the bigger picture where time is worth more than $1.50.
I think about this a lot. I want to hear your opinion. What do you tell people or how do you explain it? Like, what's that magic pill you give people to switch from that mindset of like, we'd probably call that scarcity in personal development terms, but like instead of just playing defense to like switch it to offense and like know that the way to win, you're not going to save your way into prosperity?
Well, I often tell people, no matter who it is, number one, if they say try, I go, don't even do it. If you're going to try to lose weight, if you're going to try to go to the gym, if you're going to try to change your habits, you're not going to do it. But you're going to tell yourself you tried and it's a good out for you because at least you participated. You're either going to do it or you're not. So when the why is big enough, the how to is easy. If your life is at a point where you have to change because you want a different outcome and you're willing to do everything it takes, then you're going to make it happen. So you have to step outside of your comfort zone. But the problem is so many people are just too comfortable being uncomfortable when they actually think they're comfortable because that steady check or whatever it is. But they're at a point where they say, I can't afford, I can't do. I don't ever want to be a person who tells my kids or someone in my life, like, I can't do this. Hey, we may not be able to afford that right now, but we will. Here's how. So it's a different mindset. I think when people are children, when we're kids, we have like a high IQ, like a high I quit mentality. If we want something as kids, we oftentimes get it. Meaning, you're in a car with your parents and you're 6 years old, whether your parents have their money or not, you want ice cream, you're getting ice cream because you're so persistent on getting that ice cream. They're like, here. All right, enough, right? So as an adult, why don't we do that? If we want something so bad, why don't we chase it until we get it? Because the sacrifice is too hard because the reward is not big enough. And this is what people look at. The reward has to be great enough that the sacrifice doesn't even matter.
I was just having a conversation with a friend of mine, like I think today, we were talking about the same thing where, and I want to hear if you agree with this or not, but business really, it's probably less about like smarts and it really comes down to like, it's like a longevity game. It's just staying in the game long enough till you see the breakthrough. Basically saying, this is kind of my words. Like if you stay in the game long enough, the inevitability of success goes up almost like it's almost guaranteed if you can stay long enough and overcome and be able to like overcome that fear and overcome the fear and uncertainty long enough.
I think the problem is when we look at opportunities and we look at things, we compare the person who already has a result to us. And we look at what other people have achieved, but we don't know what they did to get there. And we think that the result is way too far gone, and we can't get there because we don't have the time, and they're just lucky to be where they are. So a lot of times is most people don't want to dig in and roll up their sleeves and go to work and do the work that they have to do. But I was just talking to my son about this. My son's 21 years old. He's got a powder coat shop. His company's doing, I don't know, like $100,000 a quarter at 21. And when he first started, when he was 17, I had owned a business and I was going to sell it for a minimum. I was going to sell it for like $50,000 because I didn't want it no more. And he was in high school and he's like, hey, I want to try it. I want to do it. So I made him work for free for his first year, gave him gas money and enough money for food to see if he was willing to fight the fight to go through it. Because if he wasn't going to be able to be an entrepreneur. So for that 1 year time, he did everything he could. Then he hired a coach, not me, because I told him I wouldn't coach him. And then he hired a coach, and he was able to scale that company because he understood the grit, sacrifice, and resilience that he needed. Now, his brother just started a sandblasting company, and it's just getting off the ground. I mean, they probably have like 1 or 2 jobs a week. So he's working at another place collecting a check, but he's doing the sandblasting on the side. And now today he gets frustrated and he texts his brother and he says, like, I can't do this anymore. Like, I don't want to have a job. He's like, bro, like, you're getting paid, but you're also building your business on the back end. And you're just utilizing that money that you have right now to fund your company. He goes, I didn't have any money to fund my company. I had to figure it out. I had to buy and sell things. Dad wasn't giving me anything. He goes, you have an opportunity just to kind of work a couple days, make some money, fund the company and grow it. And then a year from now, you're going to be able to explode. But if you leave that job, how are you going to survive at 1 to 2 days of work a week? People right now are in a weird place in the world where they are spending money or they're not. So you can't hope that it's just going to happen. You got to fight for it to happen, and you got to see, kind of where that switch is. Then you can go full time. So like having that conversation with my older son, then now him having that conversation with his brother is just about going through it. It's going to be a tough fight. I mean, there's been points in my life. I don't know about you, but listen. I'll never say I was poor, but I've been broke before. But broke is temporary and poor is permanent, right? So it's a state of mind and it's an attitude. And no matter how many millions of dollars I've made, there's been points in my life where I've had zero at sometimes just because of things, bad decisions, businesses, investments not paying out in time, whatever the situation may be. And you got to fight through the fight to know that, hey, the reward's on the other side, and it's not always a high. It's a roller coaster ride. You got lows, you got highs, but you just got to enjoy the ride.
I think that's a great word because, again, anybody like considering going in entrepreneurship, it's like buckle up because it is a lot of highs and lows. And I've experienced that just in the last year and a half of my life. I talked to a number of people who have built significant businesses and, they're on year 10 or 15 or 20, right? And I always ask them, I say, when did it start to take off? Where like, I don't say take off, but like you felt there's an inflection point where it went from like, I'm sucking my thumb in the corner of my room at 3 o'clock in the morning because I'm so afraid to like, okay, it's starting to take off. What I have heard is around year 3 or 4. What would you say to that? And is that accurate?
Yeah, I would say like in your first business or your first entrepreneurial journey, it's going to be like between that 3 and 5 year range. They usually say it takes about 5 years for you to like fully understand what it takes. In the first couple of years of entrepreneurship, when guys or girls start making money, they start spending money that isn't really theirs, so they don't understand that trick, right? So you got to start learning how to respect money so that money can respect you, and you'll never be able to grow until you can utilize yourself to get into a space where you can handle it. So that's always the hardest step, is being able to go from a business owner mindset of I've got this to like really handling it and making it happen. But after year 5, you've been through so much that your business is either going to take off because you've positioned yourself hard enough and you've been disciplined enough to make it work, or you're just still making foolish decisions and it's just not turning profits and you kind of are like an overscaled employee at this point.
You're talking about scale. Let's go to people that are now like established, right? You've scaled multiple businesses. You teach people how to scale. What separates the entrepreneur who can take it from being successful and crushing it to like being successful and just finding this kind of invisible ceiling that they inevitably kind of get stuck under?
So here's a punch in the gut. Most entrepreneurs aren't even entrepreneurs. They're wantrepreneurs. right? They're doing everything. They have a glorified job. They're taking all the calls. Every decision goes through them. Every phone call goes through them, and everything is operating on them. So they're basically handing all the jobs and just kind of have somebody making the call for them, but not the decision. So most people don't scale because they don't know how to let go of control. As a business owner, and I would say as a seasoned entrepreneur, we think differently. A business owner often says, if I could have one more of me, I wish I could find more people like me. That's a super selfish thing to say because we really suck at a lot of things that we think we're good at. There's people out there that are better admins than us, better sales than us, better managers than us, but we think because it's our baby and we can control it and just kind of have puppets that we're the best at what we do. And this is why we don't gain respect as a business owner, because we don't allow people to perform at their peak. We push them, tell them, shove them, versus allow them to do things and then celebrate them because they're doing a good job. So to go from a entrepreneur or a underpaid employee of your own business to an entrepreneur, you've got to be able to step back and allow the business to run. So anyone who opens a business, like your thought process should be like, hey, I want to build this business so big one day that I can sell it. But if you're the interior position of that business and you're the one who's doing everything, you could never sell that company because you are the company. So to get to a real position of where you're the CEO of something, we have to pull you out, put systems and processes in place, and allow your business to run while you work on building it. You're not working in it.
You talk about how you don't dream at night. You say you dream all day. You dream for a living. What do you mean by that?
So your subconscious doesn't know the difference between reality and what you're thinking. If you believe that something should be yours, if you believe that you should be in a certain place, if you believe you deserve certain things in this world, and you allow yourself to truly believe it, you will achieve it. But we set limitations on ourselves by saying, I hope, I wish, or one day, versus seeing ourselves being there and just not knowing the day that we're going to arrive, but we believe that we deserve to be in that space. For example, over the last, let's say 15 years, every house I've got, I put a position where I was thinking about this house, thinking about this landscape, thinking about everything that I wanted prior to getting it. And then I just kind of moved it because I believed I deserved it and I worked my way towards it. Same thing with, relationships, things with people, like the amount of the proximity of people and relationships that I have today are things that I really, if someone asked me the other day, they go like, do you feel lucky that you get to meet some of these people and share the stages with some of these people and have dinner with some of these people? I said, I don't feel lucky. It was just my time to show up. Maybe about a month ago, I was with the president of MLB. And I was talking to my friend who's a big Major League Baseball player fan. Like he knows like all the players in the MLB. And he goes, bro, you're so lucky. I go, no, I'm not lucky. He goes, I said, I deserve that. I was just waiting for the opportunity. Did I ever know I was going to meet the president of MLB? No. But I don't think it's anything greater than I can achieve. So I don't get like almost, I was talking to guys like, when I come to your event, some people are going to be like, fan shocked and they're going to feel a certain way. I go, I don't care who I can meet. I met President Trump. I was on The Apprentice, but, I don't get a certain way and I don't clam up because I feel like these are all deserving opportunities as long as we feel that this is the place we need to be. We don't get starstruck because we go, hey, this is opening doors for my life, and this is what it's supposed to feel like.
So how do you set that intention? I tend to go out into the future like a year, set the intention, and then let my actions follow that. Do you like going out a year, 6 months, quarter? Are you kind of like a 5-year vision guy? How do you set that intention?
So I have like always a 1-year plan, but then I execute it quarterly, and then I set myself in a place where I want to hit whatever that year's goal is by month 9 so I can start working on next year already. I think so many people, they have a year-long goal, so they try to go month by month, day by day, versus executing so hard to get there. It's so much easier to get there. So I always tell a lot of my clients, like, listen, when you're sitting in an airplane, do you realize that an airplane uses like 70% of its fuel on takeoff, right? So like you have to just take off. You have to just go. And then once you're there, you just kind of soar, you just hover and you go, and you're at a high speed, at a high altitude, and you're just going. But it's going to take so much. You're going to be thrown back in your seat like if you were in an airplane, the same way as an entrepreneur. Like you just got to be all in and not worry about it and just say, I'm going to crush it. So whatever your deadlines are, like put that halftime and get it achieved as fast as you can. And even if you don't make that halftime, you still know you have half the time left, but you still have to fight as hard as you can to get it done before that marking period.
Talk about like some of your biggest, I won't say gambles, but like chances. Walk me through like leading up to a decision that was a friggin' long shot. You did it, scared the heck out of you, but it paid off. Walk people through kind of that mental exercise and how that how that played out. Because a lot of people, they're feeling what we're saying. They want to kind of, go big, hit the home run, set the big intention, but it's scary as all get out. Can you give an example of when it worked out, or maybe a time it didn't work out?
Yeah, so I have a bunch of stories about when it did work out and when it didn't work out. So I can even talk about my first business. I just told myself I was all in and I had no other choice. And I literally worked 7 days a week to go after it. And what I see with most people is they become comfortable, right? They have a little bit of success and they see things going and they stop doing what they were doing to get there. So it's like working out in a gym. When you're working out in a gym, you have to take your muscles to a point where they're defeated. They're exhausted. And that's when real growth happens. And I used to train and I bodybuilded early in my life. So I knew the disciplines of muscles, and your brain's a muscle. Everything's a muscle that we use every single day. And if you take it to a point of exhaustion, it's going to grow. So I did that and I continued to do that day in and day out. And I always took a risk. Like when I first started my first company, I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know how to build a house. I didn't know how to do a renovation. I literally told people that I could build their decks, change their doors, and change their windows, and I had no idea what I was doing, but I said I would figure it out. And then that was at 17. By the time I was 21, I built my first house for a customer. I had no clue what I was doing, but I figured it out. And if you're in a space where you have to figure it out, you figure it out. And if you're not scared enough to go through it, because listen, it's scary as hell. Like I may mess this up, but at the end of the day, if you're not scared for that next move isn't big enough. But you got to be scared for it, but you got to go after it until you're at a point where it's a success, no matter what, right? And then losing everything, when I lost everything at 24, it's like, shit, I built this whole thing over 7 years. Now it's all gone. What do I do? But then I see my two boys at the time, smiling, crying, and in a good way, and they want me to just hold them and hug them. I'm like, I built everything for the wrong reasons. Now if I build things for the right reasons and I figure this out, now I can build it for them and I can show them resilience. So I think that was the point where I needed to make the money because I had such a big overhead. My family had to survive. So that was a lot harder at 24 years old when you got a $20,000 a month nut and your business literally shuts down and you got to figure it out. Like that's a lot more discipline. But being able to be disciplined from the start and go through that whole point, it's just a little bit of a mind shift. Then I bought a business that was bad. They cooked the books and it was a couple $1 million in the hole. I had no idea. I tried to fight, as long as I could. I couldn't keep that business alive. So I lost that one, right? So millions of dollars invested into something and then it falls apart. So people don't realize like 2 L's equals a W, right? So like you're going to lose, win, lose, win. That's just the way life goes. And you got to continue to fight and remember that like the no's are going to build you. All the bad things are going to build you. The yeses are going to build your business. They're going to build everything about what it is that you're trying to structure around your world. But all the no's and all the losses are going to make you to like an inferior person who's going to run through fire. And the more you go through, the easier it is. If I lost everything today, I'd be able to build it in just a couple months because I understand the process.
Killer word, Dan. That's fantastic. And I couldn't agree more. This journey, it has to be hard. I wish it was different. It has to be hard. Why? Because the hard makes you uncomfortable. The hard makes you fail. The fail is where the evolution comes. And for you to actually receive the blessing of having a badass business like you have to go through that. You weren't a person at 17, 24 years old that could receive what you're receiving now. And what you're doing is you're confirming, you're explaining in a very articulate way that the journey is hard and you will fail. By definition, you must. And I wish it was a different way, but it's not the way that this game of life and business operates. And you're walking proof of that. So congratulations.
Weren't you just reading that book, 2X is easier or is harder than 2X? Right. So people don't understand it, right? I can go 50X now. It's so hard just to learn it. But once you learn it and you adapt to it, it's just a lot easier.
Yeah, you're right. And it's the way that you go 10x or 50x is by learning what you're capable of, but you never learn that until you fall on your face. And again, me for the first 43 years, I steered away from every possible risk. Now I'm having to live out what I preach, and it's scary as hell. It's flippin' scary because, as you know, like I'm constantly in decisions that cost 4 or 5 figures all the time. I'm not at the point where I'm making like 6 and 7 figure decisions. They're still scary. Why? Because next year I'm going to be making 2x those decisions. And the year after that, it's going to be 5x. But you have to go on the process to expand your mind to actually create the ability to receive the results of a business that type of business can create. It's a scary but magical journey. So it's really cool. By the way, 10x, I've been reading it now for a week. I'm still not through the introduction.
Oh, really?
Because it's so good.
Get moving. But
yeah,
I can tell you something that when you are in a point where you grow business and then you grow another business and you just keep going and you go 2x, 3x, 4x, 5x, you come to a point in your life like where I am where money doesn't even matter. You don't even think about the money because you're executing, you're doing things, you're a service to people, and you're bringing value to the marketplace, and then the money just shows up. So that's the hardest shift. In the beginning, when we're in business, we're chasing the money because we need the money to survive. But when you start realizing that the money's not important, the value is, because you get paid on the value, you don't get paid on showing up. That's what so many people think. Well, I work so hard, but it's not about how hard you work. It's about the value you bring to the hour that pays you the dividends that you get paid. And that's kind of the process of thoughts where we have to shift the way we think and not chase the money, but chase the passion and the purpose, and the money will always show up.
Great word, man. Let's put a pin there. That is fantastic. And I think that's a great, that's just a great way to put it. And I think that it is a difficult thing to overcome, especially in the beginning. But I think we can't hear that enough, that if we can stay true to the real why as to why we're doing it, to your point, the money does show up. And it may not come right away. It may take a couple of years, but the journey is actually what primes us to actually those big payouts, both financially, but also impact. So I appreciate you sharing part of your life with us here today, man. Where can people find more about you? You got a lot going on. Holy cow, you got an event super soon. You got books, you got podcasts. Tell us about
it. Everyone can find me. My biggest social platform is Instagram, Big Dan Official. Also, people can find me on my website, dansachkowsky.com, or Big D Coaching, or Big D Mastermind. I have a whole bunch of websites, but they can find everything on Instagram. They'll see all my links and everything on there. That's my biggest platform. I'll connect with anyone, answer any questions anyone has. I give people a lot of value. I like giving people answers to solve problems that they have, so they can see that I'm somebody who has intention to help them, not somebody who just wants them to dig into their pocket and get their credit card. Because to me, it's not about getting the next person. It's about helping the next person evolve.
If this conversation sparks something in you, don't let it fade. Please rate, review, and subscribe on your favorite podcasting platform. Don't forget to connect with me online as well. Follow me at Jerrid Sebesta on Instagram, LinkedIn, and YouTube, or dive deeper at my website, jerridsebesta.com, where all my free trainings and resources are waiting for you. And remember, stop chasing the life you want and start becoming. This is the Breakthrough Effect. We'll see you next time.